And welcome back to the WCS Season 1 final. I am Monte Cristo, and joining me as always is Doa.
That's right.
And we're heading into our final match of Group A. It will be alive. The gentleman gracing your screen right now against the German Wunderkind TLO.
That's right, man. I mean, TLO has a chance to move out of this group, and man, he has had time to kind of prepare mentally, at least, some strategies against Alive. He's seen a couple TVZs already, wasn't quite able to take down Sulky, but let's face it, who out there really is ready to take down Sulky
no one
in
in
a
Korea.
ZVZ, or in general, yeah, apparently. So no shame in that. But this is going to be a good match. Now, Alive looked very scary against Stefano. I mean, Stefano, it just seemed like in a macro game, he just couldn't handle the multitasking that Alive kind of presented to him, the situations that Alive threw at him. So TLO is a very different player, though. So I've got a feeling we're going to see that early aggression that we were not seeing from Stefano in the last series. And Alive, we saw him really suffer against that versus Sulky. So that may be TLO's ticket to the next round.
Absolutely. In the match, the first game, at least I should say, will be played on Neo Planet S. Alive and TLO look like they're ready.
Yep. That's right. It is time. Man, this is intense, actually.
Yeah, TLO fighting to be the first foreigner through into the quarterfinals.
Yep. That's right. So, only moments away from moving into game number 1 between Liquid TLO and EG Alive. Evil Geniuses versus Team Liquid yet again here in day 1 of WCS finals here in Korea. Game is loading.
Absolutely. Very exciting. The final match, the winner will go on into the quarterfinals. The loser will go home. So everything on the line right now between these two players. And this time around, here we are, your red Terran player spawning here on Neo Planet S up at the 2 o'clock position will be Alive from Evil Geniuses.
Working the kinks out of his neck there.
There are a lot
comfortable and he's ready.
Both these players, a lot of neck kinks before this match.
I guess so.
And TLO, the blue Zerg player, representing Team Liquid. And he'll be spawning on Neo Planet S at 7 o'clock.
Yep. So here we go. Neo Planet S, yet again.
And there's our map order for this set. Neo Planet S, Belshir, Vestige, and finishing it off with Newkirk Precinct.
Oh, interesting map pool. I wonder if we're going to get to game number 3. That would be cool. So really the big question on everybody's mind right now, and on mine as well, is, you know, what is TLO's build going to be? I mean, we've already kind of seen how Alive generally prefers to open, and it's fairly similar to nearly every other Terran out there. If he can, he'll try to get away with the 3 command center, try to get into, you know, and from there, you know, sometimes double engineering bay, sometimes double barracks, really very similar to any other Terran out there. So the big question is, you know, will TLO play for that Ling Baneling Muta style into Ultras? It's been very popular. Or will we see him go for that more early Roach aggression? Either way, I feel like really at this point the key to taking down Alive is hitting him hard and hitting him early.
I couldn't agree more, and even if it does go into a longer game like we saw the Sulky and Alive series, the critical thing is keeping his Alive's rampant aggression, his multi-pronged attacks, his drops in check. And that's exactly what we saw Sulky doing with those Roaches, with those Banelings early. He may not have dealt the killing blow, but he kept him penned up and took total map control after that, and he never really gave Alive a fighting chance.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this time around, there's the spawning pool going up a little bit after the hatch this time. So TLO focused on that early economy, and Alive starting it off with that command center as well.
Yep, that's right. So no Reapers this time around. We've seen him do that a couple times just to be a little bit annoying, but this time we've got the command center on the high ground. So doing that CC first, but doing it in a safe way. And I mean, I don't think we're going to see any low ground command centers from Alive out of him for the rest of the tournament if he makes it through, because after that crushing loss to Sulky, I think it's going to be pretty intimidating to go for something like that against a lot of the remaining Zergs that are here. if he manages to take out Liquid TLO in this round. Doing some scouting now with that SCV, and not a whole lot to see just yet, but perhaps a bit significant that there's no gas at the moment for Liquid TLO.
Yeah, very interesting. Just getting those 2 queens pretty darn quick right here.
Yeah. Well, TLO, you will be getting those queens a little bit faster. Yeah, there's the gas now as soon as the SCV leaves, and it's about the same time as you would want to get it anyway, but it does give Alive a little bit to think about. He's like, all right, well, how economically aggressive is my opponent going to go? Is he just kind of making a couple queens? He's just waiting a little bit for gas and, you know, trying to get a good economy going? Or is he going to, you know, do something like throw 2 gases down right after I leave and go all in? We've seen that before. And Alive hunting and catching this Overlord. I don't think this can get away in time.
Especially not with 2 Marines.
Yeah.
And very nice stutter step right there from Alive to take down the Overlord, and that'll supply cap TLO for the moment. He's going for a little bit of a scout himself. 2 Zerglings harassing an SCV.
That's a bit of a pain too, and it always is when you lose those early Overlords. But Alive still has a lot of questions. You know, did my opponent go for a quick third? May need to use a scan. We'll see if he decides to get anything in there. He's going to go for Hellbat drops, actually. We've got the Armory finishing immediately after that reactor goes down, so I'm sure Starport will be on the way soon.
Very interesting. A bit of a change, Alive.
Yeah.
Preferring that Biomine play in his first games, and now attempting to catch TLO off guard with a bit of a different style here in the final match.
Well, it changed from what we've seen today from him, but certainly something that we've seen a lot of in WCS this season from a lot of different Terrans. I mean, everybody's trying it at least a little bit now, and yeah, there's that Starport, so it will be those Hellbat drops. And so TLO is going to really have to defend well against this, and with no Roach Warren, it may be a little bit challenging. Usually we see players that go only for ring or for Lings have a little bit of a hard time defending against really aggressive Hellbat dropping.
It'll have to depend on how much Alive puts into his efforts right here. Drone's still the name of the game for TLO, and double Evo Chamber as well. And here we go, the first wave of Hellions. Gonna go ahead and probe TLO's base. See if he can get in there, meets a couple queens that have been laying these creep tumors. Not gonna find out much, but he should know from the creep spread that there's probably a 3rd base going up as he moves the creep over in that general direction.
You know, when TLO lost that Overlord early on, that was a huge moment because of the amount of scouting that he lost as well with that. He really has no way to see what's in Alive's base right now, so he has no idea that this Hellbat drop is even coming.
That's a great point, Noah. He does have that Baneling Nest, but that's not going to be the most efficient way to kill those Hellbats for sure.
Yeah.
And the first Hellbats are out, and they're not being shuttled over quite yet, though.
You know, I mean, Alive is fine with his Hellions taking a little bit of damage, too, because that damage on the Queens is going to be huge when the Hellbats come into the base, and he's waiting for 2 medevacs worth. Oh, TLO, man, I think you're in pretty big trouble. Oh, but the medevacs do get spotted by the Lings, but will he be able to respond in time? He's going to need everything he has to defend this.
Already putting up some spores to try and deal with this, and he knows they're Hellbats now. That quick little drop, incinerating those Zerglings.
Yeah, he's going to need more than a few Spore Crawlers there. You really do.
Ooh, and here we go, dropping right now. And he has to back those drones out, but a lot of them going down there, clustering up. 2 Hellbats hot on the heels of these drones, and look how much has been lost already. The medevac finally goes down to the Spore, but some of these Queens getting quite weak. The Hellbats still marching up the ramp, still pursuing these drones, killing a ton more Zerglings in the process, but TLO manages to keep the drones alive.
Yeah, he does, and he actually kept a lot of Queens alive, too, so honestly not taking as much damage as you'd normally see. And these Hellbats getting caught. Yeah, oh, look, microing even a few Zerglings, a way to get the most out of them. TLO, I've never seen someone without roaches handle it that well.
Yeah, but the Hellions following up here at the 3rd.
He's not out of the woods just yet. Yeah, Alive still very dangerous at this point, and he's going to be able to cook a few drones here.
Yeah, getting a lot of these drones. And of course, these Queens now trying to go into a more forward position to defend. He just doesn't have very much right now to stop this economic damage. Finally getting a few more Zerglings after all of his other ones were roasted. He's lost so many drones in the 3rd.
These Hellions did more than those Hellbats ever did. Just kind of goes to show that, I mean, Hellbats aren't the be-all, end-all. If you can get a good position with some Hellions, too, you can be very, very scary. But as TLO did, you know, more or less defend that fairly well, aside from the losses at the 3rd. Alive does need to kind of pull back. making a lot of Hellbats too, and continuing to add on bio. Now we've seen some Hellbat bio pushes come out of Terrence from here to there, but he could easily switch over to a Widow Mines as well and move into like a more standard playstyle. He's finishing up 5 more barracks right now, so his production again is going to be out of control once he has this 3rd base.
Well, look at this, Joe. He's already TLO moving a bunch of Zerglings up there to the 12 o'clock base, and as that command center heads over, he's been making and pumping so many Zerglings, and it looks like he's going to try for a bust.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to see what he wants to do exactly with these Banelings. I mean, it's unlikely, but it's possible, yeah, he just wants to roll in and just insta-gib the command center with Banelings, but he could also be trying to break down the front door, and he's also got the opportunity to possibly catch some SCVs transferring too, but I think he wants to just break down the door, and he's going for it. And
here we go. Banelings, will he decide to go in? He actually pulls back right there as a medevac with a couple Hellbats, and starts chasing him. He's got another one maybe for a flank. Wow, he actually does absorb some of those Baneling blasts with the Hellbats.
Yeah.
And there we go, a few Zerglings nipping at the heels.
Yeah, I mean, that attack at the natural kind of shut down just by the fact that he had to get home and defend against possible Hellbat drops, but TLO still not in a bad place at all. Getting his lair, it's very late this game due to all the craziness he had to deal with, but he's getting it either way, and 30 more Speedlings on the way. Alive with 1 drop coming in. TLO continuing to need to defend this.
There's a Queen waiting for him right there, as well as the Spore Crawler. He's got some of these Zerglings as well. Oh, and he gets the Baneling hits, but still loses a few drones.
Yeah, I mean, the Hellbats kill drones so quickly that you can usually count down getting maybe at least 3 or 4 with each one if you drop them right next to the drones and they aren't pulled right away. So a little bit of damage done. But again, losing those medevacs is not doing Alive any favors right now. TLO still very much in this game despite being a little bit down on supply, but we're seeing kind of a similar situation now that we saw Stefano get himself in, where TLO really needs that 4th base. He really needs to try to get that and hold it now if he wants to keep up with Alive's production in the late game, and that helps.
And there we go, a big surround from TLO, not going to get picked up by the medevac hovering overhead. He's trying to do some damage to the 3rd base in the meantime, but the Hellbats clean up the Zerglings. A couple Hellbats going down, but he's got a lot more. He runs into a big split force of Marines, though.
Yeah, and the Banelings coming in on the SCVs. Well, yeah, you could use some there. Oh, no.
He doesn't actually get to use too many on those SCVs.
Didn't kill a single one. Oh, man. That attack just... It looked good initially, but it became so scattered and distracted by TLO as he moved in. Alive, doing a great job of breaking that one up, and now he's pushing.
And here we go. Zerglings trying to make it past those Marines and into the 3rd base again. He needs to keep this pressure on, but he runs into another task force, and he will lose those Zerglings.
Yeah, I want to see the upgrades on those Marines. Okay, so I guess my question is answered as Alive just started 2-2. So
yep.
Upgrades even right now between both players. TLO's 2-2, in fact, will finish a little bit sooner, and he will have Baneling speed. So that'll be an opportunity for him to crush those armies even more. But Alive, 50 supply ahead right now. Same amount of bases. TLO definitely in trouble in this game.
Yeah, cute little supply depot wall right there to prevent any kind of Zergling run-bys from the open towards TLO's side. Baneling speed done as well now. But the pressure continuing from Alive, and no real attempts yet to get a 4th base from TLO.
Yeah, I mean, really, he can't. I mean, Alive is just in too many places at once right now. He's got a really, really scary army. And TLO getting dropped in the natural at the same time.
Well, here we go. Marines coming in, clearing out some of these drones. Zerglings now will be able to pick this drop up. And that'll be it for the moment, but more drops coming in, and Alive really in a commanding position right now.
Yeah. Nearly
max to the 120 supply of TLO.
This map is genuinely difficult for Zerg to take a 4th base on. I mean, if you look at the positioning on it too, it's fairly tough to hold it. It's relatively far away, and oh, well, some Banelings being used to clear out some Widow Mines, but still not the best trade. Alive 80 supply ahead right now. It's not looking good for TLO unless he can get a great fight.
Oh, and he gets a good surround though, but all of those Marines picked up. He has nothing to attack those air units with. It's not like Stefano, who could rely on those Mutalisks.
Yeah, taking a few more Banelings right in the face of these Marines, so Widow Mine burrowing, getting a decent hit. Alive push back, but just the production may be too much, I think.
Yeah, just kited all the way back to that bunker, and now Alive, 70 supply up, continuing to drop,
yeah,
even as his opponent is trying to knock it at the door of his natural.
Well, here's where the drops are going to start to get very, very scary, because now Alive can start to send out 2 medevacs, as we can see. Instead of just 1, he's that far ahead, and he can just handle TLO's army with a smaller amount of units, a smaller amount percentage-wise total of his forces at home.
Yeah, continuing to put down the pressure. Going to go ahead and get some of these queens inside of TLO's main.
Yeah.
And get out scot-free in the process.
Yeah, it's going to take a miracle for TLO to win this game, I think, at this point. Alive continuing to get those upgrades. And again, that 4th base just so hard to take on Neoplanet S.
Well, he's doing the best he can to defend his existing bases. Oh,
it fell into space.
Spore Crawler finishes to take out that medevac.
Yeah. And I mean, these Overlords keep getting rallied into a really bad place, too. I mean, TLO needs to be really careful about that. He's lost like 6 or 7 Overlords easily just to rallies. And here he comes with a large army.
And gets a surround on those Marines a little bit, but it's not really doing a lot of damage to Alive. TLO slowly catching back up in terms of supply, however.
Yeah, look, there's even more Overlords actually just to the right of our screen right now getting taken out. The Widow Mine looking for a target.
And it'll find one.
Big group of Marines, or Link's taken down, and Alive trying to split.
He does split successfully, and it looks like Alive will be able to stop this push just barely, and there's the GG from TLO.
Yeah, the resources were finally running out. TLO taps out of the game, and Alive takes game 1. TLO looking a bit pensive here, and I mean, it's really tough. Such a difficult situation to be in as Zerg, and it really kind of reiterates, I feel like, what we were talking about earlier. You need to hit Alive early, especially on a map like Neoplanet S.
I feel like we just saw Stefano lose in a very similar way. I question TLO's choices there in terms of strategy to try and succeed where Stefano failed, because Alive looks so good at that point in time when it comes to controlling the map.
You know, admittedly, TLO has had a lot of success in terms of just outmaneuvering his opponents, winning those fights out on the map, and then following it up with strong like base denial and things like that. But the fact remains that if it's 3 base versus 3 base, Terran is going to be able to just efficiently fight a lot more than you will.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, TLO is not out yet. He's still got a couple games to make it back. Belshir Vestige going to be the second map of the last match of Group A. The winner here determines who will advance alongside Solkey to the quarterfinals.
Yep. That's right. It could be either one of these guys, TLO or Alive. Alive has lost his EVT already, although it was against Solkey, but we'll see what TLO has in mind for Belshir Vestige. Again, you know, this is that map where Terrans just like to sort of park themselves kind of between your 3rd and your 4th generally and just not leave. Get a lot of good Widow Mine protection and then just slowly push you to death. And, you know, maybe once they get that control, they can start to drop a little bit, but it's a dangerous map for Zerg, no doubt. What will TLO do? We're going to find out. About to move into that game.
TLO looking quite pensive right now.
There's an issue in TLO's booth that they're trying to fix at the moment, and once they get that fixed, then we'll be able to move into the game.
His air conditioner is not working, actually, so he's a bit hot in there. It's a hot day in Seoul.
You know, it's so true, though. If you're playing and you're really getting sort of like steamed, and I don't mean that like on tilt or anything, like if you're getting really hot, it does bother you. It bogs you down. Mentally, it will slow you down, I feel, you know. And so that's an important thing. I want to get that fixed, absolutely. Crowd's starting to come in a bit. And hopefully they can get TLO's air conditioning fixed quickly.
And it gets real hot in those booths very quickly.
Does. I mean, with the lights on it, because you're kind of in that sort of soundproof enclosed thing. You're kind of in a greenhouse if you don't have good air conditioning. Yeah, looks like things are okay now. All right, good deal.
TLO suiting up with the headphones. Everybody's ready.
All right, awesome. So Belshir Vestige again. If you're just joining us, will be the map.
And here we go. Hopefully we haven't started the countdown yet, but the players have declared their readiness heading into this map.
Yep.
And I hope we see something different from TLO this time, Doa. I really do.
Well, we'll see whatever he thinks is best, you know, and how that works out. We We will find out in just a few minutes as we load up the map Belshir Vestige LE. Here we go, guys. Game number 2. Moment of truth for Liquid TLO. Can he tie things up, or will Alive move on to the next round?
Here's Belshir Vestige. It is the final match of Group A. Alive sporting a 1-0 lead at this juncture. And there he is, the Red Terran from Evil Geniuses at 4 o'clock. And at 10 o'clock, it will be Team Liquid's TLO on his last stand here at the WCS Season 1 Finals.
Yeah, it really is do or die time right now for Liquid TLO. Some fans in the audience.
Team Liquid's #1.
That's right. It's not often that we see cheerfuls here in this audience that are in English. That's a new thing for us to deal with, isn't it? I don't get to practice my Korean at all today.
Well, there are plenty of other days for Korean practice.
That's right. So, what will we see from Alive? Now, the last time we saw him on this map, he did go for that 2 barracks proxy, but doesn't look like that's going to be the case this time around. He's going to be probably going for command center first, I'm going to guess, because he's not sending anyone out to build that barracks. And TLO going to go for hatch first, normal stuff. So overall, just a pretty normal opening.
Indeed. And I think the real story about this game is whether TLO is going to get denied that 4th again. Alive's macro play has been pretty impressive against these 2 foreign Zergs so far. Just getting that big economy rolling and then dissecting his opponent with those drops.
Yeah, there's a command center for Alive. So again, on the high ground, doesn't want to do that. Leaves just enough room to fit that barracks in to complete the wall off. And so again, you know, I feel like it really is on TLO to do damage early and just try to punish Alive for really expanding. But I mean, it's a tough call, because if you put all this effort into attacking early and you don't know what's going on, if you get stopped at the natural, well, then you're just really far behind too. So you really need to kind of think carefully if that's going to be a good option for you. But after seeing all these games, I feel like it's kind of like a Musk situation almost for TLO. But he is very confident in his, you know, Ling Bane Ling Muta play too, as we've seen.
Well, will it serve him well this time? We did talk a little bit about how that the Overlord snipe early on may have hurt his scouting into those Hellbat drops as well.
I think that was part of it. I mean, he did handle the Hellbat drops well, but again, on Neopalanides, it's just so hard to handle that 4th. Or hard to take that 4th, really. And that, I think, was the big problem, is that without that 4th, you're just kind of out of luck a lot of times unless you get some really good fights.
Yeah. Well, TLO's natural is up and running right now. And there are the 2 queens, of course, but TLO going to be able to chase out that SCV with a couple lings.
Yeah.
Going for a later Zergling speed this time. Getting his gas after his pool finishes.
And I'm really just waiting here. Waiting to see if we see that Roach Warren go down. I don't think we will. I mean, this is it's a pretty large map to rush across. It's kind of a big deterrent here, and that way the map does certainly help out Alive a little bit, in that it reduces the likelihood of that type of early aggression, that type of all-in. But we'll see. I mean, when we saw Soulkey play on this map, he simply just took a really, really fast 3rd. He's like, all right, well, you know, you're going to go ahead and sit back and play a bit more defensively. I'm just going to go ahead and take that economic advantage and, you know, use that to sort of out-macro you. That's not a bad idea either, but well, TLO has generally been one of those players that likes to get his tech going a little bit quicker than taking that 3rd.
Well, he's droning up very heavily still.
Yeah.
Very late Zergling speed this time around. And so we may see that slower tech-heavy build once again, and maybe he can pull out a win this time.
He's going to have to deal with a couple Hellions without speed, which is a little bit annoying, but he should have enough Queens out that shouldn't be too much of a problem. And he is taking that fast 3rd, too, so I think he's doing all the right moves in this particular case. Alive, though, hasn't quite tipped his hand yet as far as what build he'll be doing. Will it be a bunch of barracks? Will it be a 3rd and some engineering base, too? And there's Blue Flame, actually. Interesting. Ooh. Okay, so Alive really changing things up quite a bit here. in game number 2, and I wonder what this will be. This could be mech. It could also be a couple other things. We've seen in the past with 2 factories, I would imagine it's probably going to be mech, but we've seen other things in the past where we've seen just big, like Blue Flame Hellion Marauder pushes as well, which wouldn't be bad on this map, but the 2 factories, it gives me hope, man. But, you know, this is a very similar build to a build that was popular on the Korean ladder a while ago, and the Heart of the Swarm was new. You just made gigantic Blue Flame Hellion attacks, and then you followed up with like 6 barracks, and you just went into really heavy bio production out of that after you'd sort of held the Zerg back a bit. So I really wonder what Live's doing. I mean, I'm so interested in this build now.
He's got those Marines zoning out that Overlord a little bit, not going to let him get any kind of scouting information. He doesn't want TLO to catch wise to this rather strange build. I mean, we just haven't seen much Blue Flame and Heart of the Swarm.
No, I mean, it's still a great upgrade. It's just that Hellbats generally toast drones a little bit quicker. TLO, oh, he's going to see both factories.
Does he
and
see
he's
the
gonna
tech
see
lab?
I think, oh, he's got to. Yeah, he definitely saw the tech lab moving. And so he probably knows. Blue Flame just finishes right now.
And so, yeah, he must know. The advantage, too, in Heart of the Swarm is without siege mode there.
So scary.
Oh, there's the Blue Flame. He definitely knows now, and he's going after those drones immediately. About 8, 9, 10 or so of these Hellions, and they're just going to roast that Queen.
Yeah, 3 more on the way. Is TLO prepared for this? No Roach Warren. I don't see really any way for him to hold it off. The Banelings. Oh, the Banelings getting a great connection. That may have saved TLO, but there's still a lot of Blue Flame Hellions out there. It's not over yet for TLO, but that helped so much.
Yeah, getting those Zerglings in from behind, corralling them into the Banelings against the Evo Chambers, and enough Queens at least, and the Spine Crawler in order to hold for
great.
now. So TLO with an impressive defense.
And Alive was counting on this to do a lot. He is making 2 command centers and 2 engineering bays behind this. So just going ridiculous macro, ridiculous tech and upgrades. And so he really needed those Hellions to do more damage and probably more importantly, stay alive longer.
Yeah, he's also switching over to barracks right now. So it doesn't look like we're going to see that mech play this game. He's going to make a pretty solid swap.
Yeah, the first time I saw this type of build, not quite the same, but the same type of thing was actually when I was watching FXO The Best stream a while ago, back when, I think it was even when Heart of the Swarm was still in beta, and he was going like 2 factory, tons of Blue Flame Hellions into a bunch of barracks, but didn't go for the 2 command centers out of it. That's kind of a different twist to it, but if your Hellions do a lot, I can certainly see why. Oh, that poor Marine.
And TLO nearly done with his Spire right now as well, so he'll be switching into Mutalisks here, so he's going